Welcome back to the Dover International Speedway. It's time to go qualifying for the Autism Speaks 400, the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series teams here at Dover. See Tony Stewart's car lined up. We're right outside the Monster Mile. You know, folks, the big story obviously has been the change at Hendrick Motorsports. Tony Earnhardt Jr., who is Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s cousin, has been removed from his responsibilities as crew chief effective with this race. That move coming yesterday. He'll be replaced by Brian Weitzel, and a week from now, Lance McGrew will step into that position on an interim basis. Well, a lot has happened today. Down in the garage, Bob Dillner will get us caught up on all of it. Bob.
Well, the drama continues, Steve, surrounding the Earnhardt situation. In fact, Kyle Busch now by his race car, about to climb in for qualifying. He had a thing or two to say about Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s situation here this morning. In fact, and I quote, "You got to make the most popular driver in the sport competitive." To be honest with you, besides that, he, and he's referring to Lance McGrew, has his hands full having to deal with what's going on. And if Junior doesn't run well, then he's going to be the problem again. It's never Junior, it's always the crew chief. Very interesting comments by one Kyle Busch here at Dover. Just moments ago in the media center here, this is what Dale Jr. had to say about Kyle's remarks.
That doesn't really surprise me, what Kyle says, but you know, he's always had a chip on his shoulder for me, so I expect anytime he gets an opportunity to throw a jab in there, he's going to do it, and that's just his personality. So we're working toward trying to figure out how we can make our deal work, and you know, that has nothing to do with Kyle. So we'll see how this weekend goes, and then move forward next week.
Steve, you can see Dale Earnhardt Jr. Very sullen during that press conference here. He said he was very disappointed that this move had to be made with Tony Earnhardt Jr. No longer being his crew chief. In fact, he said he didn't want to be part of the decision, and that Tony and Jr., they both told Mr. Hendrick to make the decision himself. He sees it as a new chapter, and basically he summed it up as hope. He's hopeful that this works, but right now he seemed a little bit down. He said this is going to be a lot of pressure on him to perform here with a new crew chief, and it looks like, by all indications, in fact, what Junior said, that Lance McGrew will be the crew chief for the 88 starting next week, and then also through weeks to come, and then they will see how the chemistry builds there. So interesting things. You see Lance McGrew, who is crew chief for Brad Keselowski here at Dover, but a lot of drama, a lot of saga going around Dale Earnhardt Jr. here at Dover and his poor performances during the past few weeks, Steve.
And Bob, what's going to be interesting as well to watch is Hendrick Motorsports is going to throw a lot of resources at that 88 car. Brian Weitzel and Rex Stump will both work on that 88 after this weekend.
Yeah, they definitely will, and they will work in coordination with Lance McGrew, but there's a lot of pressure, and there's some truth with what Kyle said as well, because we know that Dale Earnhardt Jr. is the most popular driver in the sport. As he goes, so do NASCAR goes from time to time, and everybody from the Hendrick organization would like to see Dale Earnhardt Jr. back in victory lane, but I think a lot of pressure is on Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s shoulders right now.
Yeah, Bobby, you know, Kyle Busch certainly entitled to his opinion, but not really sure why it's his business or why he feels compelled to comment on it, but that's his right. Well, it's time to qualify for the Autism Speaks 400. We'll go upstairs to Mike Joy, Darrell Waltrip, and Larry Mack.
It's mashed a few cars already here in the practice sessions for NASCAR's top 3 National Touring Series. And now we're set to qualify and run for the Coors Light pole. David Rudman, quickest in practice. Who do we like?
Well, Rudman likes this place. He always has. He ran well here in our truck, and he's done pretty well in the nationwide car as well. So I wouldn't count him out by any means. That was not a lucky lap.
No, he didn't luck into it. That's right.
No, I think he actually laid that lap down fair and square. So he's a favorite, and of course you can't count out Jimmy Johnson, any of the Hendrick cars, Mark Martin. So it'll be fun to watch. Hard to back up your practice time here. Really hard.
Okay. Who do you like, Larry?
Well, I think the way when you look at David Rudman, the way he's been qualifying all year long, let's face it, he sat on the pole at Texas. I think he is the top contender considering what he ran in practice. But like Darrell said, other than maybe Darlington, which Darlington always picks up in qualifying, but it's so hard to go back and mirror your practice qualifying run. It's a very line-sensitive racetrack, and it's such a fine line, I think, especially with this car, a fine line between overdriving and underdriving that race car, because what you want to do, you want to go out there and just try to get that little bit more, and that's when you step across that line of overdriving.
Well, I like Martin Truex, who always gets up on the wheel for his home racetrack, and his teammate, Juan Pablo Montoya, was very quick in practice, and Ryan Newman, who was the last man to win here from the pole.
Well, the only thing you can do in qualifying is if you overdrive getting in, you screw up your whole lap. But if you get in nice, then you get off nice and fast, and that's how you make a fast lap here. Off early, on quick.
Well, here we go. The Budman, Kasey Kahne, will be the first driver to tackle the Monster Mile. First week for Richard Petty Motorsports, running the new Dodge engine. Only one top 10 and 10 Dover starts. And he does have an outside pole here.
It'd probably just be, it's because we know. But if I didn't know that car had a new engine in it, I'd say, boy, that 9 car sounds a little different this weekend.
Yeah.
It's really got that nice, crisp, crackling sound to it.
And he was second quickest in practice. Let's see what his first lap does. 22.99.
I think that's a skosh quick. Was that
he
about what he
ran a 22.92. Now, I think this will be one of those qualifying sessions, especially with it kind of cloudy and overcast. I think you'll see most of these guys go ahead and start and run their second lap, and I think we'll have to see what the pattern is, whether you run faster or slower.
And that second lap is slower, but only by a couple of thousandths for Kasey Kahne. Dick Berggren?
Jimmy Johnson has 41 point-paying Sprint Cup wins, and just a moment ago David Rudman came by and he had just gotten his first, and you spoke with him. What do you say to a guy that's just gotten his first ever?
I congratulated him. It was twofold. One, he went so fast in practice. I wanted to know how fast he was going to go right now, because my lap put us fourth, and it was awesome. Today's going to be a lot of fun in qualifying. This is big boy qualifying today. You're going to have to really dig deep and lay down a lap. So I'm excited for it and look forward to a good lap.
Quality throttle time will matter a lot.
Yes, and that from a driver who knows what it's like to spin out on your qualifying lap.
Well, just watch these things go down in the corner, Mike. I mean, you're going down in the corner. Let's see what we enter the corner down here in turn 3. And watch this thing, how it just rock and rolls down into the corner to 180 miles an hour.
Almost 180, 176, 177.
Wow, on a 1 mile track.
And remember, you're trying to turn that bad boy hard left at 180 miles an hour.
Brian Vickers was one of the fastest cars on track in the Coke 600 last week, and right now he'll be second at a 23.13.
Darrell pretty much said it. That's 2 cars that have not backed up what they ran in practice.
Hard to do here.
David Stremme will be the third driver to qualify. He has 8 nationwide series starts here and 4 in the Sprint Cup series. 23.38.
Yeah, he was 12th in practice.
Slowed down a couple of tenths.
Yeah, at least a couple of tenths.
Larry, the only way your second lap would be better is if you left pit road saying, okay, I got my air pressure set to run 2 laps. I'm going to get the first lap in decent, and then I'm going to stand on the second lap. That would be the only way your second lap could be better. You would have to plan on doing it that way.
Yeah, it's like they're not picking up on lap 2, the 2 that's done it, but they're not slowing down a bunch. It's almost the same lap 1, lap 2.
Matt Yoakum.
And DW, you've said it many times, there's nothing like the steam under the hood. And for Kasey Kahne, RPM has a new Dodge engine this week in your car. How do you like the new engine?
Seems good so far. It's definitely nice to get it, nice to be running it. They've done a lot of work, spent a lot of time on it. So I'll find out more tomorrow around other race cars. But by myself, felt really strong today. And our Budweiser Dodge is getting better. You know, we were good at Darlington, good at Charlotte, and now I think we can run good this weekend. So going out first and qualifying, I think we ran close to the same time. It's pretty good.
Thanks, Casey.
Pretty nice.
Casey Mears on track in the Jack Daniels Chevy. He's been running here since 2003, looking for his first top 15 start. Casey was 21st in practice.
Casey's had a rough week. You know, Richard Childress in general had a rough week at Lowe's Motor Speedway. They went up to VIR to test their road course car. Darrell, and I guess they had a lot of rear brake put in it to help the car turn, and he backed it into the wall up there at VIR testing the other day.
Boy, you hate to wreck a car testing, you know.
At a racetrack you're not even going to race at.
Mir's third on his first lap with a 23.21.
Slows down about a 1/10 and a half on his second lap. So the pattern we're seeing, we've had 3 of the 4 cars run the second lap. Nobody has picked up as we kind of anticipated.
Right. The discipline it takes to be able to say, okay, I'm going to drive to this point before I enter the corner and back off and get my car down and get it set. And then to get it in the middle of the corner or before you get to the middle and hold it wide open up off the corner. That takes a lot of discipline. You overdrive the corner, it makes you late getting back in the gas. That hurts your overall lap time.
Kyle Busch led 173 of the 227 laps last week. That's the 3rd race this year that he led the most laps but did not go to victory lane.
And one thing, he wasn't shy about getting back on that. But woo,
he lost ground up off of turn 2 there.
I tell you, he was back in the gas so early. He had a lot of exit speed there, which is can happen to you here coming up out of the hole like that right there.
He won the pole here last fall.
Right now he's second quickest. Really a full 10th behind Kasey Kahne. You know, you talked about the laps he led, Mike. He's doing triple duty here this weekend, but in Cup alone this year, in 12 races, he's led 789 laps. But in all 3 series, he's led over 2,000 laps already in 2009.
Wow.
Well, in Cup, he's led 20% of all the laps that have been run. One driver, 20%.
NASCAR Sprint Cup qualifying is presented by Subway. Try the tangy new Subway Tuscan Chicken Melt, the newest fresh fit choice. Subway, eat fresh. And brought to you by Polaris, the hardest working, smoothest riding off-road vehicle, now at your local dealer. And by Toyota. For the latest Toyota racing information, visit toyotaracing.com. Toyota, moving forward. Bobby Labonte clocks in 23:31 in the ask.com. Autism awareness, Ford Fusion.
He slowed down quite a bit from his practice run. Slows down 2/10 on lap 2. I think all they're doing now, what I'm seeing, is wasting tires and fuel on lap 2.
Yeah, and speaking of tires, apparently by this much running on the track, you know, with the Camping World trucks and the nationwide cars and what Cup practice we've had, we would start to see some dark color come into the concrete where they're laying down a groove, putting down some rubber. Notice they're not doing that. It's turning into dust. We got a lot of dust from the tires, black rubber that's just kind of dusting up, not sinking in the track.
And that makes me a little nervous when I think about wear.
Yeah, rightfully so. I think it's we've seen some cording, as they've said down there.
Jimmy Johnson, the Cobalt Tools, Lowe's Chevrolet. And Jimmy in practice was the 3rd quickest Chevy, 5th overall.
Lost a little time down there in turn 1. I think looks a lot better off turn 4 here.
3rd quickest, 23:12.
Now, if you look up when he gets through with his run, maybe we can take a look at that dust that is coming off the tires. And I think it was here last year we saw this, wasn't it? We kept talking about we didn't see a black
It was
groove.
a long time. The track did rubber up eventually, Darrell. But it took a long time into the Cup race.
Yeah.
Before we really saw a definitive groove like that. Yep.
23:24, slowed down a little over 1/10 on lap 2.
Jimmy looking for his 10th top 10 start of the year.
See, there's all that's just dust. Normally we see rubber, balls of rubber, but that's just, I mean, you can sweep that off with a broom or blow it off with a jet dryer right now. It's just dusting up. It's not sinking into the racetrack.
Let's check with Matt.
And Kyle Busch chilling out with some NOS. We got some reaction from the guys in the booth on your laps. How would you describe your e-ticket running qualifiers?
A little bit freer than what it was here earlier in the day, so loose is fast, so hopefully, you know, it's fast. But you know, it was about the same as what we ran in practice, maybe just a titch slower. But you know, it was a balance change, so at least I guess we've made some sort of improvement on getting some balance back in this thing. But overall, you know, the M&M's Toyota's been good, and if we can just make it a little bit more better tomorrow for Sunday, I think we'll be okay.
All right, thanks, King.
Yep.
Greg Biffle is on track in the 3M Ford Fusion. 23:08 for Biffle moves him to second behind Kasey Kahne. Marcus Ambrose on track in the racesavers.com Toyota, and his first lap is 7th quickest at a 23:23.
He's just right there at what he ran in practice, and looks like this second lap will actually be about a 10th slower.
That seems to be the norm, about a 10.
Kurt Busch is always good, especially here at Dover. Last year, his qualifying 2nd and 4th, fast in practice. What do you think? Got a shot at the pole?
I've always thought I had good cars in qualifying. It's just the driver always ends up screwing up the full 400 miles. So the Miller Lite Dodge is good. We made 2 small adjustments to try to just maintain the lap time we ran in practice, because it's always difficult to pick up a lot of speed here. And so if we end up up front, that's good. If we're about 15th, that's the downside to making our adjustments. We'll see what we get.
For many of his fans, June of 2006 is the best ever Kurt Busch story here at Dover. His only truck start, he won the pole, blew a tire in the final practice, crashed the truck, went to a backup, started dead last, won the race. I bet you remember that.
Attaboy. Jeff Burton, whose win here in the fall in 2006 broke a streak of nearly 5 years, and something almost broke just there, didn't
Well,
it?
the car went really way off on him in turns 3 and 4, or 3, getting into 3, and then he almost lost it off 4. Car not happy at all.
He knew it probably wasn't going to be any better on that second lap. He shuts her down.
No, he knew he couldn't make another lap. This thing gets pretty mean, gets real bad. Here's off of 4, and you see it again. I guess that's the challenge here, keeping a car straight and tight up off these corners.
And the shame of that is it also killed what would have been his second lap. It's, you know, speed off a bit coming across the line. You don't really start that second lap at full speed.
Well, here you go. See if we can see if this man can back up what he ran in practice. If he can, might be setting in pretty good shape.
Ran a 22.86 in practice earlier today.
He's had 3 Cup races here and looking for his first top 10 start.
Good there.
Say he's going to get it.
Good there. So forth, that's 2 goods. Sounds good. Back in the gas. That's 3 goods.
He eased her down into turn 3 where he could pick that throttle up early and stay in it.
And an A+.
It's there.
David Rudman backs into the lead here, 22.96.
Well, that's about a 10th off what he ran in practice, but so far we've not seen anyone run faster than he ran in practice.
Car looks really nice for him. It's not. I haven't seen it sideways yet.
Nope.
Just nice and smooth.
And bad fast.
Yeah, got that right.
All right, man. Good job.
Isn't it amazing what a win? I don't care under any circumstances how much a win just changes your whole race team.
Well, and plus, Joe, he's a qualifying son of a gun. He won the Truck Series pole here.
Yes, he did.
What, 3 years ago?
Yep.
What's that Ricky Bobby line? I like to go fast.
Hey,
That's David Rudman.
Look at me, Mom.
Yeah, I'm going fast.
I'm going fast. In this case, I guess if you look at me, Dad, because Buzzy's down there. So there's Ricky.
Ricky Bobby.
Yeah, you mess with me, boys. I'm number 1.
Oh, jeez. Joey Logano made his first Major League NASCAR start here last year in the Nationwide Series at the age of 18 years and 7 days. He finished 6th.
Comes in here 25th in the points. 5 races ago he was 35th. Now he's only less than 70 points out of the top 20 with his 20 car.
But you see, every one of those cars does. What you hope for when you go out and qualify is your car doesn't do what most of these cars are doing. Right. Snap loose up off the corner, because you know that's what you got to fight here.
You can see it even wiggle the tail coming up off turn 2 this second lap.
He's trying to get better on lap 2, but the laws of physics are not in his favor.
I think it's where the rubber meets the road, to tell you the truth.
Right. So Logano 23:25 is the lap of record. Make it a weekend of fun with the family and friends at Michigan International Speedway. Sprint Cup tickets start at $40. Kids 12 and under are free at the June 14th LifeLock 400. Elliott Sadler next up in the Stanley Tools. Number 19 Dodge.
Oh, he's trying something a little different here. He's going to diamond this turn off, get a good head of steam coming to the line.
See what he does when he goes back through 3 and 4 on his actual lap.
Yeah, I think that was just a momentum thing, trying to diamond the turn a little bit. Car a little tight right in the middle of the corner, maybe trying to keep from bogging it down.
All the last 5 years, he's qualified in the top 10 for Dover's spring race.
Got a smooth lap going.
He's 32nd quickest in practice, but boy, stepped out on him there coming off turn 4. We've seen so many issues. 23:14.
Now that's 7th fastest.
But he becomes, I think, the first guy to run faster than what he practiced earlier.
So David Rudman, Casey Kane, and Greg Biffle are fastest so far. John Andretti back in the Sprint Cup Series after his foray at Indianapolis. And the Taco Bell Chevy clocks in at 23:76 for John. Top 20 finish at Indy. Over $250,000 payoff for that one. Matt?
Well, catching up with last week's winner at the Coca-Cola 600. So if you had anything to do over again for your qualifying run, did you make a change, or was that about as good as you could do?
No, I think we maybe adjust tire pressures a little bit. It was a little bit tight out there for us. So, but you know, all in all, it's a pretty good run for the Airstream machine. I'm not really sure if that's going to hold up for the pole or not, but hopefully it'll give us good pit selection and maybe a decent starting position on Sunday.
They've got the momentum, and it continues to show week in, week out.
Thanks, Matt. A.J. Allmendinger, the Auto Value bumper-to-bumper Dodge.
I think it's fair to say about Rudman, he got the momentum back. Because he had 3 really bad. He was in the top 12 in the chase for a good bit of the early season here, but then he had 3 really bad races. And now he's setting them outside the top 12 by 6 points in 13th. So got it back.
Yeah, his 3 finishes before the win at Lowe's was 26th, 28th, and 29th.
Yeah.
Allmendinger 5th fastest with a 23:12. Wow.
Good run for him.
Dick?
Well, no doubt, one of the people that David Rudman is going to be watching and worried about is the Rocket Man, Ryan Newman. 4 poles here and 4th quick in practice. Can you pick up just a little bit more?
4 divided by 4 is 1, right? No, we were pretty good. We kept working our way, getting the car better and qualifying trim, and finally got it really good to the point that we were 4th. So we made a couple small changes, and we'll see what it's like. U.S. Army Chevrolet was good off the truck, and I really look forward to Sunday.
When it comes to hold your breath drivers at qualifying, here's the king.
Yes, he is.
Smart guys like that really they confuse me. 4 divided by 4 is 1. I thought, now wait a minute.
I had to think about that myself.
It's like all those percentages last week that Mike was going to say, wait a minute, how many? There's only 100%.
Kurt Busch has 3 front row starts in 2009. But he's 10th on the first lap at a 23:22 here.
And you know, he has 14 straight top 15 starts here. With still over half the field to go, that streak may come to an end.
He is 10th fastest and the 3rd quickest Dodge.
What are you guys doing tomorrow about 6:15? Want to walk the track with me?
You going to do the NASCAR
Foundation
do the
track,
walk?
yeah, for MRO, and a bunch of guys are. Carl and Matt. Logano, Reagan.
That'd be a good thing for us to do. We can reminisce about our 13 races of NASCAR on Fox.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of fans are going to come out. There's still tickets available.
Yeah, the fans are invited to, to do this track walk as well and see Dover from a driver's eye perspective.
I probably need some fans cheering me on to make a lap around here.
Well, I was going to say, based on your dinner last night, you probably need that walk.
Jimbo's going to be riding along beside me in the golf cart. Free golf cart rides.
Here's Jamie Mack in the Crown Royal Fusion. Started 5th here a year ago, his best career start here.
Car just went up the hill down there in 3 and 4. He was actually in pretty good shape. Still going to be a decent run for him, but he was on a top 5 run until he got the middle of 3 and 4.
It's like the car's just too tight, Larry, and he just kind of has to let it run up the hill.
That knocks Kurt Busch out of the top 10. 23-21 for Jamie Mack, 10th.
Of course, he'll probably get out and say the car was too loose, and he was backing it up the hill. It's kind of hard to tell when you're when you're doing what he's doing. Whoa.
That was ugly.
Well, the second lap was slower, but the first lap good for top 10 right now. 10 out of 17.
It's just semi-ugly. I don't think that was all the way ugly.
You know, Daryl, you mentioned this. I think we were looking at practice speeds, but we've got cars that are at a 213, a 216, a 221, a 238. I mean, just packed together in there.
Tight.
Tony Stewart, Dale Earnhardt Jr. chatting a little bit.
And David Reagan in the UPS Ford next up. 5 nationwide races here. Best start of 4th. But in the Cup Series, he's hopeful of his first top 20 start today.
He was 23rd quickest in the practice we had earlier.
One time in practice, all the Roush cars were looking pretty racy. This car doesn't look too bad. It got up the corner over there without getting any trouble. It up a little high here. Sometimes that doesn't hurt you if you can get it cut back down and hold her wide open. Not too good, though.
But Reagan last year came in here 13th in points. Here he's 32nd place coming in.
And that's good for 14th quickest on that lap 1. But yeah, we said earlier we felt like this track would be a good measuring stick for exactly where the Roush Fenway cars are. Not won a race since Matt Kenseth won the first 2 races of the year. When you go back to last year, they pretty much dominated the fall race here.
Second lap about a 10th slower. So Roush Fenway right now has Biffle in 3rd, McMurray 10th, and Reagan 14th.
And when I think about Roush's cars, and I think about Matt Kenseth at California, he had to drive away, he had to hold off Jeff Gordon, who had a great car in California, and he was able to win that race. You'd think they have their stuff together.
Paul Menard 18th with a 23.50, 18th of 19 right now. The 2 Yates Racing Fords, Labonte and Menard, well down the list in this session. So here is Denny Hamlin, who started 3rd here in both fall races 2007 and 8. Got in that big wreck on the backstretch here last spring. Won the nationwide race last spring as well.
I played in Artie's golf tournament yesterday for Autism with all the guys from FedEx.
Yeah.
Now, I tell you what, we had us a ball. They were smoking big cigars, and they need to work on their golf game a little bit. They told me it's because they have to work so hard.
All right, Denny Hamlin is 9th fastest in his FedEx Toyota. Dick?
But the big story of the weekend is Dale Earnhardt Jr. working with a new crew chief, Brian Weitzel. How's it going, Junior?
It's going good. Team's got a good attitude, and everybody that's on board this weekend is working really, really hard. So it's been good so far.
Talk about pressure. There have been cameras and microphones following this fella every place he has gone, more so this weekend than usual, and he's doing just a great job of dealing with it all.
Well, anytime a sport's most popular athlete undergoes a big change, it's going to draw the attention of the fans, the media, and everybody. Now here comes the rocket. 10 straight top 5 starts for Ryan Newman through this race in 2007, and that included 4 poles. But looks like Newman may come up shy of another one here.
Too much rear shock on that car. You see, it really snatches the back of the car down when it goes off in the corner, like it's got maybe a little bit too much rebound in the rear shocks now. That's just my observation.
Ends up 9th at a 23.15. He says one and done.
Ryan hasn't had a top 10 start here in the last 3 races. What an incredible turnaround for the Gillette team. That is Richard Petty Motorsports. Reed Sorensen just clocked in third fastest. They have Casey Kane second, Reed third, Allmendinger sixth, and Sadler ninth.
Well,
wow.
You know what? A lot of that could be working on this new engine has helped them with their old engine. You know, you see things about the new engine and what it's doing and how it's working that might help you tune up your old engine a little bit.
I guess we need to clarify that, to our knowledge, the only new Dodge engine for Richard Petty Motorsports is actually in the 9 car. The other 3 still have the old Dodge engine.
But still, Larry, that's a huge turnaround for that team.
4 cars in the top 9.
And Carl Edwards, who has a 5th and a 6th place start, but no top 10s in the last 3 races at Dover, and that'll make 4 races because he's 11th right now with the Aflac Ford at 23.16. That's about a 10th off what Greg Biffle ran. Biffle's 4th, Carl is 11th.
Had a couple of good runs though last year here. Top 3 finishes in both 2008 races.
Dale Earnhardt Jr., Mountain Dew National Guard Chevy, started outside pole here in 2007. He has 7 top 10 and 13 top 15 starts here.
Tell you what, he looked pretty good getting down in there, but I don't know if he's be able to get back to the gas quick enough.
And one thing, while he's making this run, Dick Burton just talked to him, and Lance McGrew will take over next week at Pocono. Lance is looking after Brad Keselowski here this weekend. Tony Eury Jr. is still with Hendrick Motorsports. He has not went anywhere. Him and Lance McGrew are going to swap roles, which Lance McGrew has been doing research and development, plus looking after the 25 car on its partial schedule.
The car just wouldn't turn, Larry. You saw it on the throttle graph there. He tried to get back in the gas, and he couldn't. And the more he tried to put gas to it, the more the thing pushed the nose. So the car just wasn't turning good enough for him.
So 2 of the Hendrick cars have qualified. Jimmy Johnson is 7th. Dale Earnhardt Jr. for now is 18th. Matt Kenseth made his first start here in 1998 driving Bill Elliott's car and finished 6th after starting 16th. He has a pole and 6 top 10 starts at Dover.
The way he's been qualifying, you know, he was on pole at Darlington, and he's been qualifying a lot better this year. Looked like the car lost a little time off turn 2. It was pretty good up to then.
He's jumped 3 spots in the points in the last 2 weeks to 9th.
This car's got a good looking look. It looks good getting off the corner, a little shaky getting in.
Ends up 12th right now at a 23.179.
So he's the 3rd fastest Ford right now behind Biffle and Edwards.
Got to tell this story real quick because to me this is one of the cutest stories I believe I've heard. Matt's wife Katie is pregnant, and Matt and Katie do not want to know what this baby's going to be, a boy or a girl. But they didn't want to wait till the baby was born to decorate the nursery. So they've got a good friend that's an interior decorator. They gave a picture from the doctor to the interior decorator, and the interior decorator...
They did not see the picture.
Right, they did not see the picture. They have the nursery locked. The only person that has a key to it is the interior decorator. She's been up there decorating the room during the day, locks the door at night where they can't go in there, and she went so far as to when they put the carpet down where they couldn't look under the door and see the color of the carpet, they stuffed towels in there where they could not look in and see the color of the carpet.
So they're going to find out in what, about a month and a half here.
And then walk into a nursery that's ready to go and decorated for whatever gender the baby may be.
Matt?
Mike, like so many times for the past 4 decades, the 43 fast on pole day at Dover. So what does this type of run do for you and the other members of your team confidence-wise?
Well, it helps a little bit. We, you know, we have a lot of sponsors with McDonald's, Air Force, and Valvoline, and last weekend was a special weekend to have the U.S. Air Force in the car, and we didn't quite finish where we wanted to. So we have U.S. Air Force in the car again this week, and we actually get to go tour C5 later on tonight. So we like to go in there on the base and say, hey, we qualified good today. So that's not the only reason we qualified good, but the car's been good since we unloaded, and that makes it a lot easier on myself as a driver and on my crew chief and everybody on the team. So it's been good since we've been here, and Casey's car is obviously good. He's got the new motor this weekend, so we can just finish out the weekend with a good run. We'll be happy.
The Dover Air Force Base nearby, so it's a home game, so to speak, for the 43.
So this amazing turnaround continue, and just to give you the depth of this, the average right now of the 4 Richard Petty drivers is 5th. Their average starting position this year is 25th. Wow. Clint Boyer, the Hartford Insurance Group Chevy, times in with a 23:29, 20th fastest for Boyer.
This may be one of the bullets right here, even though he didn't show the speed in practice that David Rudman will have to watch closely. The way this team been qualifying every single week.
Put up a fast lap early, but then when everybody started working on their qualifying runs, kind of slid down the chart. We know the car has the speed in it, so we'll see what Mark can do with it.
Mark Martin has 4 poles and 4 wins at Dover, all for Jack Roush.
It's like he's chopping it a little bit, Larry. Looks like he's kind of cutting the car, juking it through the corner, not nice and smooth, and having to work the throttle quite a lot.
Boy, this may end up being one of his worst qualifying efforts of the year.
See the throttle, he just can't get back to it.
He's having to drive it with the throttle as much as he is the steering wheel. Something we hadn't seen much this year. Mark Martin, 24th quickest after lap 1.
Mark has only started that far back twice in 45 races here.
Here you talk about 45 races. What's amazing in those 45 races, 21 top 5s and 28 top 10 finishes for Mark.
For Richard Childress Racing, Casey Mears is 14th, Clint Boyer 20th, Jeff Burton 25th, and here is Kevin Harvick 26th. Out of the 28 cars that have gone so far. It brings out Sudden Sam. Sam Hornish, 2 4th place starts, Talladega and Darlington. Both his seasons and career best.
If you just want to know if a guy's going to go fast or not, watch that throttle graph. When he can mat it, when he can put that, see how he's playing with that throttle? To go faster, you got to put it down and keep it down off the corner.
Decent run for Sam. 11th quickest at a 23.16.
And that makes him the fastest of the 3 Penske cars.
And pedaling it like that is what you do in the race, depending on grip. But for qualifying, you got to be able to hold it wide open up off the corner to go fast.
So Hornish is 11th. Not as quick as the Richard Petty Dodges, but quickest among his peer group over at Penske. When we get to knockout qualifying.
Hey, have we not seen this before?
Like last Monday afternoon?
Yeah, but Darrell, he's waiting with his sunglasses on.
Right.
That is the that's the big difference.
And that little smile on his face, he didn't have that last week either.
When we get to knockout qualifying, 8 drivers will make it, 4 go home. 12 drivers in knockout qualifying a little later on.
Last week he was anguishing in the rain.
Right.
Today he's basking in the sun.
Very good. Tony Stewart. Big long string of top 10 finishes. 1 second row start here and a couple of victories.
But I watched him come to the green off turn 4, and it pretty much told the tale that he was not going to have a good lap. He was sideways coming to take the green.
And he is 27th at a 23.45.
And that coming to get the green, that just puts such doubt in your mind when you take that thing off in the first turn. Again, approaching 180 miles an hour. Now you're saying, is she going to stick or is she going to slide?
That one slid.
Yep.
So his teammate Ryan Newman is 10th. Tony is 26th.
Good job hanging on to it there, bud. Where's that got us?
Yeah.
You don't want to know, Smoke.
26 right now for the Old Spice Chevy. Now here's a driver who had a great practice run and was a threat to win last week at Lowe's Motor Speedway. Had we gone the distance, Juan Pablo Montoya.
Watch this. Now, this forget everything we've been saying about where you run on the racetrack. Because Juan has a style all his own.
You know, it's funny you say that. You know, he ran up there right from the drop of the green flag at Lowe's. His spotter told me a while ago he was up there on the pace lap. I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm trying to clean my groove off when the green flag comes out.
Right. Now, Juan has an outside pole here.
Look at him. Nobody else now. He will cut to the bottom. I think he feels like he's getting momentum running
it's
down.
And I'm going to tell you what, look how much he gained from the middle of 3 and 4.
Running down the hill.
Third quickest at a 23:07.
You know, if you think about it, Mike, that's road racing style. Yep. You go in late, go in high.
Late apex.
Late apex, cut it to the bottom and run down these hills. Paid off for one.
I'd say.
That was a good lap. Third quickest.
Yep.
He's the fastest Chevrolet.
So he goes in, he gets out of his car and says, now how do y'all think we should run this track?
Any way you want would be the answer. The Target Chevy, third fastest.
He's pretty cagey, really. If you said, how about the way you run the track, Ronnie? He'd say, what? What are you talking about?
Exactly.
Robbie Gordon, the Richmond Water Heaters Toyota, finished third at Lowe's Motor Speedway, but they had a little issue with the rear end there, Larry.
Yeah, in post-race inspection, NASCAR pulled the rear end housing out, and they monitor and limit the amount of tow out you can run in the rear end. And the reason these guys run tow out, it helps the side force on the side of the race car. They had too much. You're allowed 1 degree. They had about 0.2 of a degree too much. And because of it, they docked Robbie Gordon 50 driver and owner points, and crew chief Kurt Almquist was fined $50,000 and put on probation until the end of the year.
Now that lap was the antithesis of the loose is fast category, because Robbie is 31st with a 23.73 with a car that was loose at both ends of the track, that is.
Yeah, he's going to have his work cut out for him on Sunday. That's next to the slowest car so far.
Michael Waltrip takes to the track in the Napa Camry. Here's Matt.
Fast lap by JPM. So how would you describe your big fast lap?
I'll tell you, this Target Craft Chevy, it's been amazing. We unloaded good. In our practice, we were not as fast as we wanted to be, but I had a couple of moments going into 3, so it's nice. I think it's a very different race than anybody else's from what I've seen, but it seems to work for me, so I'm pretty happy.
Is this like for you? They always say this is a Bristol on steroids. How similar when you were trying to learn both?
Very different. You know, what's nice about this, from my background with cars with a lot of grip, this is probably the most grip we have on these cars anywhere we go, so it's a lot of fun to drive.
Thanks, Juan.
And a great lap, third fastest. Michael Waltrip won a pole here in 1991 for Bahari Racing. This will be his 47th Dover start, and he times in 26th at a 23.34.
Darrell, that was an interesting comment. The most grip of anywhere we go with this car.
I just think some drivers love the feel of concrete. It's a different feel than anywhere else we go. Obviously, you know, there's only 2 concrete racetracks in Martinsville in the turns, but I think it's the concrete. Maybe the tires are probably doing their job this weekend, and then the banking. I think the banking adds a lot to the grip factor as well.
Now here's a threat for the pole. Montoya's teammate, the Bass Pro Shop Chevy of Martin Truex Jr., started 5th here in the fall of '07 after winning the spring race.
But I'm like you, Larry. I'm not sure where that comment comes from.
I've never heard anybody say that about Dover.
When you see these
concrete
cars
or asphalt
slipping and sliding around, you would question that. But
yeah, and that killed his speed all the way down the back straightaway, and it just kept escalating all the way through 3 and 4.
Yeah, 1 is enough. He's
one and done for Martin Truex. He is 15th with a 23.17. Truex 15th, his teammate Montoya 3rd.
I'd say that bullet and this next bullet is the 2 biggest that David Rudman will have to dodge.
I think Jeff Gordon's got a bona fide shot here. That's right about what he ran in practice. I think he ran a 99.
93. 93. He's 3rd quickest.
So this is going to be close. He's either going to just nip him or be right in between he and Kane, which is going to be hard to do.
Jeff has 9 front row starts here, 4 poles, 5 outside poles. He has led over 2,200 laps at this track, 2nd on the all-time list to Bobby Allison.
Now, if you got back trouble, you're going to know it here. 400 miles, I can tell you, because this place. Oh no! Goodness gracious!
In the wall, hard.
Just snapped loose all at once.
That was a hard lick.
Like he said, that hurt. The last thing that the man needed was pound the wall like that. That car just snapped.
He was playing with the throttle, Darrell. You could see it on our throttle trace through 1 and 2.
Up just a little bit, tries to diamond it down, got it on the bottom here, but watch this thing, just quickly snaps at the worst possible place.
He was trying to drive out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right here, and man, it just, there's nothing you can do right there. You try to correct it, but it's too late. It's so fast. Slide, slide. Man, and that's right out, no safer barrier right there.
That was pure wall there.
You know, I love our race fans. I love their enthusiasm for this sport. But why would you cheer a thing like this? I don't get it.
I know. I'm not sure either, Mike.
Boy, that car is hurt.
Well, they'll be going to a backup car, and they'll have to get that thing ready to race in those 2 practice sessions tomorrow. Forecast is good for tomorrow.
So the final big threat to Rudman for the pole ends up in the fence instead. Ouch. Here comes the backup DuPont Chevrolet for Jeff Gordon. He took a hard hit to the wall in turn number 2. Matt's with him.
He's climbed from the car, and Jeff, we heard you say on the radio it hurt. We're hoping you were talking about the car and not yourself. Are you all right?
Both. It hurt the car. Obviously, it's destroyed. You know, it's so hard to save one when it jumps loose on you like that qualifying. You're so committed. I just hate it for these guys. You know, we were so good all day today. The car got through 3 and 4 incredibly good coming to the green. And so, you know, that's my telltale sign of what kind of grip and what kind of balance we had. And I got into 1, and car felt good, got back in the gas, and the back end just came around on me just a tiny bit. And I tried to correct it, and obviously you can see what happened. It just shot straight in the fence, and whew, that was a hard hit.
All right, good to see you're okay. Thanks, Jeff.
Now, a week ago, Jeff Gordon had a facet injection to try to cure some of that back pain that he's had. Said he felt better, but gosh, that was a hard hit. Now, this 06 car belongs to Trevor Boys from Alberta, Canada. Trevor made a couple of practice laps with it, wasn't very fast. They put David Starr in the car, and Starr completed the practice session, just went out, took the green flag, but did not complete a lap.
Yeah, so their qualifying attempts over. You know, they will be one of the four cars that does not make this show.
And we are into knockout qualifying now. 4 drivers go home. So David Starr, and frankly, I think that was the slowest car in practice. It was. So Starr will go home. Here they are in the order that they will qualify. Joe Nemechek up next. Joe's first trip here resulted in a 3rd place start. That was driving for Larry Hedrick back in 1994. If he makes it, this will be his 500th Cup start.
At one point, Joe was pretty high up on the practice sheet.
He was right there in the top 10 or 12.
Yeah, that's right, Darrell. He ended up being 2nd of the Go-Go Homers, 31st overall.
Well, he had a little D-die.
Look at this right here, Darrell.
Wow.
Even with that.
The GP's Enterprises Toyota for front row Joe. And an error with the tracker. That's why we've taken it down. Nemechek was not up on pole. He is 23:55. That's 33rd fastest, and that's not the kind of sporty lap he's looking for.
I was going to turn in my hard card if that tracker was right.
No, Joe's got to go. And the second lap is slower.
Yeah, they're gonna have to anxiously wait this out.
Yeah.
Pretty loose.
Now he's at 55.
It's really slick.
Tell you, it's hot out there right now. I know when I was coming over here earlier, it had gotten really, really hot, and we got sun beaming down pretty good too. Now, Larry, you know, it's not like asphalt necessarily, but it still gets hot.
It still takes grip away. And you're right. About 10 or 12 cars ago, it seemed like the sun popped out more so than it had been earlier in the session.
Yeah. Now, Joe was at 23:55. I think you'd like to see a lap about 2/10 quicker, somewhere in the mid-30s, to feel pretty good about your chances here. David Gilliland is next, looking to make his 99th start in the Sprint Cup Series. The CompUSA.com Charter Air Transport Chevy for Gilliland.
I think this will kind of give us an idea about what kind of time you need to be able to make the show. because he's usually pretty quick.
He was the fastest of the go-homers in practice, 22nd overall. Good lap, a 28. 23-28 for Gilliland.
Yeah, so I think somewhere in between a 30 and a 40 maybe is what it may very well take.
Yeah, he'll be in good shape there. Good shape.
On both sides of the fence there with it.
You know, Darrell, you were talking at the top of the show, the fact that it's hard to back up what you practice. We've seen very few to only 1 or 2 cars. It just seems like in this, I think it's kind of normal, but more so in this qualifying session, everybody's just looser.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because the track is heated up, but I haven't heard anybody get out of their car and say the car just plowed and wouldn't turn.
I think most drivers go out there even on a mock qualifying run and don't necessarily get as aggressive as they do when they make a real qualifying run. There's just something about when you come off turn 4 and that green flag is in the air, you want to give it that little bit more, and that's what gets you in trouble.
Scott Speed, 36th in the point standings. He lacks 41 points of being in the top 35 and exempted from knockout qualifying.
I think he's going to be okay with this lap here, though. He's not locked in yet, of course, but I think that may be plenty safe.
But he'd had a really good lap, but he had to wait for the car right in the middle of the corner down here. Couldn't get back to the throttle.
Looks like he might pick up on lap 2, Darrell.
Right here, you see how the car just kind of shot up the racetrack right there? It's the same thing it did the last time by.
But he's definitely working on better in his first lap.
Wow, goes from a 31 to a 27.
And jumps in front of David Gilliland.
Yeah, so he's the fastest go-homer right now. He was 8th in that group in practice, so a nice pickup for Scott Speed.
You know, they missed the show at Darlington, but then came back last week at Lowe's and qualified and finished 18th with that 82 car.
The Furniture Row Chevy for Regan Smith will be our next qualifier.
He was the 3rd quickest of the go-homers in that practice session earlier.
These guys here just seem to be either really good or just kind of mediocre. They don't seem to have a
no in between.
No, not real consistent.
And Darrell, when they get in the show, the biggest thing they got to work on is pit stops. You and I watched him at Darlington.
Man. That was painful to watch.
33rd, 34th. Yeah. He needs another 10th here, I think, to feel safe.
Yeah, he's going to be quicker than Joe Nemechek. Right now, he's 33rd quickest.
At a 46, and that will send David Starr to the house.
Now, see, one thing about all these guys, I know most of them, or all of them, plan on running both laps. So you might set your car just a teeny bit different, knowing that you got to run both laps.
Slows down about a 10th.
So that will lock Scott Speed into the show.
And this team here, they've qualified for every race they've showed up for this year, running a limited schedule, and I think it's definitely paid off.
Stories at both ends of the spectrum on our the 2 teams that were bright spots of the Daytona 500. Mayfield Racing were entered here with J.J. Yaley. However, they withdrew a few days ago and did not come to the track here in Dover. This is Tommy Baldwin Racing, and they've had Scott Riggs in the car all season. Scott and Tommy agreed to part ways following the Coke 600, and Mike Skinner will drive most of the race. He'll drive all the races for Tommy Baldwin where he doesn't have a conflict with a Truck Series race at a different track.
This is the guy to put in the car if you want to know if it'll run or not. If you got anything here, if I got a car that's capable of making races, because Skinner, he helped that 82 bunch, or 83 when he drove it, so much, and A.J. Allmendinger, and that may be just what Tommy and these guys need too.
That's good news for Regan Smith. Now, that does not lock Regan in. Mike Skinner to 23:47.
He has run 15 Sprint Cup races here. And the Shea Trucking Toyota, well, I'd like to see that a little quicker to feel safe about that lap. It's a 47 for Skinner.
Locks David Gilliland in along with Scott Speed now.
I'd really like to know what Mike Skinner thinks about this car, based on, you know, getting in it, and is it Is it like handling? Is it like power? What does it lack to be one of the cars that could get in a race every week? I think that's where Mike's really going to help these guys from a technical standpoint of view.
Now Mike's going to run this car at a lot of the companion events when the Truck Series is with the Cup cars.
I saw this car here in practice, and it scared me a couple of times. I know it because of what it did right there. It was sparking out from under the bottom of it big time getting down into turn 1, and I just saw it do that getting into turn 3, getting up to speed.
Mike Bliss was 4th among the go-or-go homers in practice. He is one of 3 triple duty drivers here, Kyle Busch being the other. Whoa! Almost lost it right there.
See that sparks coming out from out there? There's something that was dragging. It was dragging a lot worse. They have helped it, but that's like putting the brakes on.
Now that little green line, that represents Regan Smith's lap at 33rd quickest.
Whoa, there he goes.
Way up in the dust and the dirt and the rubber parts, and that'll do it for Mike Bliss. 23:51. He is 37.
How could a concrete track be dusty?
With black dust.
That's it, from the tires.
That will lock in David Gilliland.
This car did the same thing in practice.
Wow. NASCAR Sprint Cup qualifying on speed is presented by Subway. Try the tangy new Subway Tuscan Chicken Melt, the newest fresh fit choice. Subway, eat fresh. David Rudman hoping to hold on and win the Coors Light pole as Derek Cope, who won here in June of 1990, backing up his Daytona 500 win of the same year, trying to make his first start of 2009 in the Flippin' Bags Dodge.
You know who his crew chief was?
Buddy Parrott.
Big Buddy. We had some times together. Oh my gosh.
A lot of times we don't need to talk about.
That was one of my rowdy friends.
Now Cope's first lap is the slowest of the day, 24:32.
Man.
Those cars are evil off turn 2.
They don't know if it's pushing it or loose, but it's trying to do both at the same time. That's hard to overcome.
This should end up being good news for Mike Skinner.
Yeah, Cope is slower, so he is in the bottom 4. Mike Skinner locks in, and the bottom 4 are Mike Bliss, Joe Nemechek, Derek Cope, and David Starr, with 4 cars to go.
Watching that thing come off the corner, Larry, it's like, push, 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 loose!
Finally, those front wheels bite. And what is it you'd say? The hind tires aren't caught up.
My hind tires came unhooked.
Brad Keselowski in GoDaddy.com Chevy trying to make his 5th start of the season. He has 3 top 10 finishes in 4 nationwide series starts here, and has also raced twice here in the Truck Series. He needs to beat a 23:51. That's the green line, and that represents Mike Bliss.
His last 2 times out in the Cup Points event, he won, of course, at Talladega, driving for the 09 car that Mike Bliss is driving here. And a couple of weeks, 3 weeks ago at Darlington, had a great, solid top 10 run. That lap there will not do it. Nope. 23:64.
That's quick enough to knock out David Starr, but not quick enough to lock in.
He's trying to do it on the second lap. Did look better off 2 that time. Let's see what he can do off 4. If he doesn't lose the back end here, he might have a semi-shot.
Just hesitated right in the middle of 3 and 4, so this lap will not do it yet.
A little tick slower. And Keselowski now is in the bottom 2. And it means that Mike Bliss will race. Mike Bliss locks in. David Starr is out. So with 3 cars to go, the bottom 3 are Nemechek, Keselowski, and Cope.
Crew chief on that 25 car this week, Lance McGrew. That's who will be with Dale Earnhardt Jr. starting next week at Pocono.
So with Bliss locked into the field, now the time to beat is Joe Nemechek's 23:55. Here is Dave Blaney for Prism Motorsports. Finished 9th in this race last year for Bill Davis.
What do you think here, car owner? Got a shot? Why are you speechless?
That's Phil Parsons, one of the co-owners of this team, who is here to call the Camping World Truck Series race that's coming up next.
tell you what, old Dave has a way of normally reaching down in the bottom of that bag and finding a little something. Right now, through 3 and 4, he's looking in pretty good shape. If he can just stay in the throttle off the corner, it's just going to be right there right now.
No, 23.55 with a 4. Nemechek is 55 with a 2.
Man, he's going to have to really dig down and see what he got here. I hope they're talking to him.
So he's in the bottom 3.
I know Phil is, because I
unless
get
he
Phil
picks
back
up.
there.
It's just going to be right there on top of that first lap that he ran, it looks like.
Needs 2 1,000ths, and no, he is slower. So Joe Nemechek locks in with a 23.552. Blaney is 1 spot away with a 5.54.
And Derek Cope and David Starr, they will not race on Sunday.
Right. 2 cars to go, and our bottom 2 right now are Blaney and Keselowski. Our Friday Advanced Auto Parts menu, inside the headsets, comes up next. Then at 5:30, you'll see NASCAR Camping World Truck Series qualifying. Trackside at 7 with Tony Stewart, Mark Martin, Alan Gustafson, the guests. And the setup and the Camping World Truck Series race at 8 p.m. tonight.
Kind of makes me nervous getting inside of somebody's headset.
Yeah. There can be some bad stuff in some headsets.
I've seen that.
Max Papis.
Most of the time it's vapor lock.
Max in the Geico Toyota starts 22nd in the Truck Series, trying to make his 6th start of 09. Time to beat is Blaney with a 23.554. Keselowski's a 23.664. And this is not going to do it. 23.882. Did they make an engine change? They were excused from the qualifying draw.
Yeah, all they're trying to do right now is just get qualified. No matter what, they're going to have to go to the rear of the field, but I'm sure right now they'll be glad to go to the rear of the field on Sunday.
Just want to be in the field.
Not going to happen.
No, not going to do it here, it doesn't look like.
Will not be fast enough. Max Papis will go home. Dave Blaney is locked into the field. And we're down to 1. Brad Keselowski.
Let go of me, Phil. Let go of me. About to choke me to death.
Brad is on the bubble, 23.64. The one driver left with a shot to get in the field, Tony Raines, the Long John Silver Chevy. Started 13th last fall here for Newman, or what was then Haas Racing. And he's trying to make his 5th start of 09. He's got to beat a 23.64. And in practice, Raines had a 23.52.
Daryl, the thing to think about, I don't know that we stress it enough. When you go green and you're locked in, here it's about $75,000. If you go red and you don't race, you get a thank you note and a tire bill.
Yeah, no kidding. Good point.
Keselowski looking on. It's Keselowski or Raines. And it will be,
I believe Tony has beat him. Tony
Raines
beat him.
Yep. 23.60.
See Brad marching out of the garage. Not a happy camper. Yeah, Larry, the top 36 drivers have made $1 million this year already.
So that's not bad just to start.
And we're only a third of the way through the season. Do the math.
David Rudman, 3rd career pole in 76 races. Casey Kane, best start since his pole at Infineon Raceway last June. Dick?
With David Rudman, and when you think about it, just 2 years ago, David Rudman was struggling just to qualify for these races, missing about a quarter of them. Now you've got the trophy from one of NASCAR's biggest races as the winner of that trophy. 2nd pole this year. To what do you attribute the turnaround?
I mean, I think a lot of it's got to go to everybody that Michael Waltrip Racing to start with, and they're giving us great cars, giving us really, really good cars. My crew chief, Rodney Childers, making some really, really good, obviously made a great decision last week, and we unloaded with a great Aaron's Dream machine this weekend. And, you know, Toyota Racing Development, guys at TRD like Jeff Opel and those guys who bring us good horsepower each and every week. You know, those are what, you know, all that stuff starts to add up to big, you know, things on the racetrack. And plus having the old Aaron's Dream machine and having Aaron's, they're, you know, that's invaluable. We can't do it without them.
And all this couldn't happen to a nicer guy, Mike.
David Rudman will start from the pole on Sunday in the Autism Speaks 400 presented by Heluva Good. And we'll have more from Dover after this. Who will tame the Monster Mile? David Rudman is the 34th driver in 79 races to win a pole at Dover. Nobody's won from the pole since Ryan Newman in 2003.
Pretty good parity in the top 5, Larry, every manufacturer.
But we talked about it. Richard Petty Motorsports, all 4 cars in the top 10.
That's big.
Average starting position of 5 for Richard Petty Motorsports. Average starting position this season so far, 25.
You know, I know we talked about Brad Keselowski missing the show in a Hendrick car, but it was an interesting day for Hendrick Motorsports. You had Jimmy Johnson that's 8th, and then you look back there, you got Dale Earnhardt Jr. that's 22nd, Mark Martin 28th, and Jeff Gordon crashed, did not complete his qualifying lap.
You know, in the last 19 Dover races, spring races, there's only been 1 repeat winner, and that was Jeff Gordon. He's going to have a tough time doing it from 20 or 42nd position
in a backup.
However, 3 races this year have been won by drivers who came from the rear with backup cars or engines.
A little bit more misery for Hendrick Motorsports. The 25 doesn't make the race.
Right, yeah.
Didn't have a good day.
You'll see Tony on trackside later tonight. David Rudman, congratulations. He wins the Coors Light pole for Sunday's race.
Backed right into it, didn't he?
Boy, lucky.